Hi y'all, welcome to the Craft Table Podcast. My name is Tori. You can find my work or what I'm doing on the Instagram or Making app at the Craft Table Podcast. You can send me an email at thecrafttablepodcast@gmail.com. This is the second time I'm recording this episode because my alarm cut me off. And so now my 40-minute episode will probably be much shorter. I am running behind. I am several days late on my podcasting schedule. Did not realize what day it was until it was too late. And then I just wasn't free until now. So happy Saturday. Happy fall. We've had the fall equinox. I am happy to say that we have 60-degree weather. And the forecast is not getting above 75 for the next week. So I am so happy. I don't have any of my fans or AC units going, and I have windows open. So I'm very, very happy, and I'm wearing a sweatshirt. So it's great. I'm loving it. I even had a pumpkin chai. So I am winning. Loving the fall. I guess let me just... So I am just so thrown off because I literally went 40 minutes, and now I have to restart. Because I do not edit any of these. What you see is what you get. So just restarting is easier. It's a lot more work though, so I don't know if it's really easier, but here we are. So I do not have much to share progress-wise. I don't have any spinning to share. I don't have any crocheting or sewing to share. I do have a little bit of knitting. The main part of this episode is going to be New Jersey Sheep and Wool 2022 recap. And I'll share my acquisitions towards the end after talking about it. For knitting, I have my my trusty project, the Inclination Cowl. I am knitting it. It's by Andrea Mowry, and I'm knitting it out of a 2-ply handspun that I spun up earlier this summer. Oh, there's a cat. There's a little beanie. She was in my last episode in my lap, so unfortunately, or not last episode, but my first attempt at recording this, she was in my lap, so you gotta see her, but, you don't this time. So, the yarn. It is a 2-ply BFL silk, 100% non-superwash. Really loving it. It is... I'm towards the end of this skein. I'm over halfway through the skein. It's pretty, like you can tell, I'm almost not quite done, but at least 2/3 done with this skein. I still have my second skein, so I don't think I should be too worried. I am halfway through the second section of increases. I think I will be good because she overestimates in her patterns. Andrea Mowry does. Like, she says that she puts like 20% more or something like that yarn on the yardage estimate so that people will have plenty of wiggle room. But I don't know if I will be playing Yarn Chicken or not because it is just shy of 8 ounces. But we'll see. I'm just gonna keep knitting, not gonna stress about it. So I've got this left, and I've got another skein. I talked about how I'm not a big fan of barber pulling, and this is pretty extreme barber pulling, but I'm loving how it's knitting up. This, the last time I shared this with you, I had been just starting the second green stripe, and I have finished the second green stripe, and I'm working on to the next repeat section of the colors, because it starts at this purple and then ends with the green, the color repeat at the green / light pink. So I have moved through this section twice now, and I'm really loving it. I'm not mad. I'm pleasantly surprised with the way that it's knitting up. The color changes don't... This is the wrong side here. Let me show the right side. Although you can't really tell much of a difference. But I'm liking how the two plies are playing together in the way the color transition is happening. Very, very hand-spun, homemade look, but I'm so sorry if you can hear my stomach growling. It's almost time for dinner because I'm an old lady and eat at like 5 o'clock. So excuse any grumbling noises coming from my stomach. So yes, I am really enjoying how the barber pulling is playing out knit up. I do not gravitate towards barber pulled yarns. I actually do not willingly buy. I've never bought barber pulled yarns. They're just not my thing, and I was a little worried. I wasn't too sure how it would go knitting it up, but I really enjoy it. I think it's very pretty, and the light single ply is helping not make it so stark, I feel. I know the pattern is originally written to be striped with a barber pole and a solid, which is fine. I've seen really great ones, and I've also seen solid ones, but I'm liking the way that this is turning out without striping, because the pattern is written to stripe a yarn A and a yarn B, and I'm not doing that. So it's an easy enough pattern to totally skip the switching. But it's also a really easy pattern to do the striping. It's not difficult, it's not challenging, it's very beginner friendly, and she's got plenty of videos to go over half fisherman's rib, which is what this is. It's like, I'd say it's a more simpler type of like knitting compared to brioche, but brioche is fun and addictive just like the half fisherman's rib is. So yeah, I am enjoying it. I think the pattern's well written. I'm hoping to be out of section 2 into section 3 the next time I talk to y'all. I'm not sure how well that will go, but we will see. I have been basically just moving this from my couch to my desk to knit, so I've just been knitting whenever I have a little bit of time and feel like it. I will definitely be knitting some more after I stop speaking with you while I play some Destiny, because I am a Bungie fanatic and I love me some Destiny, and it is an extremely grindy game with plenty of loading screens, so I get to knit and game, and it is wonderful, especially when you're in a raid with a group of people who like to mosey about and mess around. So you've got plenty of time to game and knit, and that's what I've been doing, and that's what I'll do tonight, because hey, it's the weekend. And it's fall, so I get to sit under a blanket and not sweat to death, because I have no central air in this house because it's ancient. That's not fair. Most houses in the Northeast are pretty old. My home was built in the 20s, I think. I believe it was built in the 20s. The apartment I lived in was built in the 10s, the 1910s. And this home was built, I believe, early 1920. But yeah, so no centralized air, and it is so not fun. So I'm excited to have the cooler temperatures and to actually have a blanket. And I have hand knitted socks on. Like, I have a hand knit garment on. You can't see it because I'm not even going to try to lift my leg to show you. But I'm wearing a pair of hand knit socks. So I might have to work on my half finished sock project that I shared at the beginning of the summer. But yeah, so I'm excited. I'll be working on this for a little bit at a time, a little chunk here and there. I will be working on it tonight. I am halfway through. I'm a little shy of like a row or two, a repeat or two shy of being halfway through section 2. This is continuing to increase. So each row is getting longer and longer to knit. Section 3, which is the last section, is the decrease rounds. So that will go much quicker. So it's just going a little slower than it was at the beginning. So I'm definitely slowing down. Not the end of the world though. I also have it on pretty small circulars, like I think 12 or 16 inch circulars, that is really meant for like a hat. But this is my only US 2.5. It is 3 millimeters if you're not using the US system, 3 millimeters. That's what I'm knitting this on. I know the pattern calls for, I believe, either a US 2 or a US 3. I think it's a US 3. Yeah, I believe it's a US, maybe it is a US 2. Either way, it's not the standard 4 for a fingering weight. So, I just grabbed what was next to me, and I don't have very many, just like circulars around. I kind of buy needles when I need them and not just have like a set. I do have my really cute pink Like needles. I'm not sure how you would say that, but they're the Driftwood brand that quite a few people enjoy. And it is this brand that I'm using, but it's just like circular and not detachable needles. It is a fixed circular. So it's staying on this. I'm not switching it around. It's just going to be bunched up like it is now. So it's kind of hard to see the full length of it, but it is pretty big. It's got some heft to it, like lengthwise. Loving it. We'll continue to work on it. I am now starting the next repeat section in color, and I'm getting closer to finishing the skein. So I'm just gonna put this back in where I got it, and then that is all the progress and work and objects I'm working on. The next, I do have a acquisition, but like I said, I am not going to talk about it till the end. I went to, the last time I talked to you, it was right before I was going to New Jersey Sheep and Wool. So this is going to just be a recap of New Jersey Sheep and Wool, especially for anybody who hasn't gone. I think I might have talked about it in my audio version of this podcast. I do have episodes on Spotify under the same name. If you're interested, I just switched formats and then never continued it on Spotify. So there is a little bit of a backlog on Spotify for this podcast. And I think I might have talked about New Jersey Sheep and Wool then. But this is, I believe, my third time going. My first time going alone since my living arrangements have changed. So my first time going alone, and it was really nice. I liked that fair anyways, so it was great for me. I definitely recommend it for anybody who is in the area. And in the area, I mean like up to a 3-hour drive away. Would recommend. It's a great show. If you need, like, if you're trying to figure out if you want to do something like Rhinebeck, but you don't want to spend that money to travel to Rhinebeck and you're closer to New Jersey, definitely go. Maryland is much larger than New Jersey, but it's smaller than Rhinebeck, so you can also go to Maryland, and I love Maryland as well. But New Jersey's great, and I think it offers some things that the other two shows don't give. So this year it was larger. Not by much, but it was a little bit bigger, and there's only a couple of barns, and I believe it is 4 barns. I debated this in the last recording of this episode. I believe it's 4 barns. One is for the guilds and demonstrations. The second one is for the containment of sheep while they're waiting to be shown. I believe it is 2. And then they're all in a long row, so you just go through one and end up in the other one. And then a little different than some of the other setups for Rhinebeck and Maryland, where you zigzag between barns. You start one, leave it, go to the next one, go through it, go to the next one, and down. You're just going through a straight line with these barns. And then there is a 5th barn off to the side with the fleece sale, and additional vendors. So it was a little bit bigger this year, just by a couple or so vendors, maybe 15 new vendors, I think. So they didn't all fit in the barns, and some of them went with the fleece sale, and some of them were outside, leading up to the fleece barn. There was only a couple of food options, not a big deal. I think it was like there was maybe one more last year than there was this year. Like last year there was a pizza option too, and there was not one this year. But I don't remember if I saw the dipped cheesecake on a stick last year. I don't remember, but there was one this year. So the food was great. If you like standard fare food, it's great. Hot dogs, gyros. For whatever reason, gyros are very popular at these events. Chicken and lamb. Probably because it's a lamb-based product. But, you know, I've just noticed that it's very popular at these events. Great food. Was not displeased. I love some good fare food. I am a Texan. I will love the deep fried stuff always and forever. I will. It's just in my DNA. So that was great. Loved it. The funnel cake was wonderful. I didn't see a concession stand that was supporting the Boy Scouts this year. There was one last year. So yeah, food limited. Probably not great if you are a vegetarian, vegan, / can't have gluten. Definitely not friendly on that front. I typically eat vegetarian unless I'm outside of the house, and then I will eat meat products. I should be gluten-free, but that's hard to break. So I definitely don't eat gluten-free. So definitely not like dietary restriction friendly. So if you need to have like a diet thing, then definitely bring a snack or two. They don't check bags. They just take your money when you pull in the parking lot. You park and then you go in. So like if you need to bring other things, definitely a lot easier to do at this show. Maryland and Rhinebeck are so large that you have to stop at the gates to get a ticket and have your bag checked. What that says about security, I don't know, but this is a small enough show that you don't need that. And it is big enough to not feel like quaint and cute. Like you're only there for 20 minutes. This you could be there for several hours, but it's not overwhelming. So the food was good. If you don't have dietary things, or if you do and you choose to ignore them like me. What that says about your choices, I don't know, but you're in good company. The fleece sale was decent. It was bigger than I thought it would be. It definitely has different options than New Jersey and Maryland. Maryland feels like a larger sheep breed. Like bigger sheeps, not large as in like options. It has the larger sheep breeds, the ones that are much bigger than Shetlands, much bigger than the baby dolls. They are big sheep. They're like meat sheep too. So, and Maryland and Rhinebeck also have mohair and stuff like that. Whereas New Jersey sheepmen will have the smaller sheep breeds and ones that I think are not as popular at at Rhinebeck or Maryland. There was Shetland, baby doll, and Icelandic wool there. That dominated the tables. And there was only a couple of tables, but it was like a great taste and smaller scale fleece sale. So if you want to experience that, but not like be overwhelmed with options or people crammed into one spot trying to look at the same thing you are, definitely recommend the New Jersey Sheep and Wool. You might not have a great selection, like a wide range selection like you would see at Maryland and Rhinebeck, but it is a good taste of that experience. And there was enough variety that I felt like you weren't going to miss out. It was just a good like exposure to the subject / experience compared to like how Rhinebeck is, because I've experienced all 3 of those big shows, all 3 of those fiber events / shows, because at the base of it, it is about the sheep and the livestock portion of that rather than like the byproduct of it. It's just a happy coincidence that you also get a great byproduct and like crafting community out of it. So definitely great on the fleece like show portion if you want to experience that. There was great demonstrations too. This one is very clear about what sheep breeds are being shown, what times, what days. I'm sure the other 2 shows are like that, but it is so little compared to the experience that the other people, like the other shows have. Like, if you're a nerd like me, I would equate Rhinebeck to Comic-Con, but for yarn. Maryland is a very similar, like, not the San Diego Comic-Con, but maybe like the New York Comic-Con. Like it is still is a Comic-Con, but it's not as big of a deal as like the big Comic-Con. So that's how I view it. And New Jersey is just like the tiny local event. So I'm sure those other shows have a much more intensive showcasing of breeds and things like that, but it feels like at New Jersey, like that is still such a huge part of the show itself compared to how Rhinebeck and Maryland have grown to be so much more in the yarn and food and crafting side of it, if that makes sense. So definitely great on shows. I noticed that the sheep breeds had expanded quite a bit. The previous years I've only really noticed the Long Leicester, Shetlands, and Baby Dolls, and Jacobs, and this time around there was more options. And there was also these sheep fillets, black nose fillets, I think is maybe what it's called. They're white and fluffy and curly, kind of like a long wool. They probably are a long wool breed. I would need to look that up. If I'm going to talk about it, would be good, huh? And they have black faces, so that's the black nose part of their name. I'm told they're extremely friendly. I talked to one of the farmers in my food line, and they loved those sheep, thought they were great. I know that there's a farm, Wegan a Prayer Farm, that shows at Rhinebeck that also has, like, that's their farm sheep. It's the breed they keep. So I've seen it around. I just had not seen it in New Jersey before. So it seemed like, even from talking with the shepherdess, that like that was new growth in their little farming community. There was the Shetland, of course, that are super cute, and the baby dolls. I love the baby dolls. They are so stinking cute, and some of them had coats on, so I know that they were going to be sheared for spinners, but like so cute in little sweaters. I'll share a picture on Instagram or the Making app, and it is just so dang sweet. So yeah, the sheep part was great. I loved it. I always loved looking at sheep. But there's bunnies. There are bunnies there too. I should mention that. There are those really fancy bunnies for their fiber. Like, you would buy their fiber there from the farmer, and also buy bunnies themselves there. So I don't know if I've really seen that at Rhinebeck or Maryland. I'm sure they are there, but there is a whole section dedicated to the bunnies as well. No goats. There's goats at Rhinebeck, but no goats here. And no llamas or alpacas. None. It's purely just sheep on display. But there was llama and alpaca fleeces at the sale. So even if the llamas and alpacas weren't being shown, their fleece was available. Their blanket, I think is what it's called, was available to purchase at the fleece sale. So the breed show was great. I didn't sit on any of the demonstrations, but it is always has enough people there that I can definitely tell it's interesting enough. For the actual like purchasing vending sort of thing, it has grown from last year. I think there was like 15 new vendors. Really great, loved it. Was sad to see some people not return, like Cat Sandwich Yarn. I love her. She'd been there the previous 2 years, was not there this year, but instead there was Wobble Gobble Yarn, which is very similar in the pastels and the speckles and stuff like that. So there was at least a comparable company, and I know that Wobble Gobble Yarn is gaining popularity, at least on the northeast side of the US. I'm not sure about everywhere else, but like they're being carried in the stores locally around me, and they're like pretty popular on Instagram, and at least from the accounts that I follow and like the local people. So that was nice. New Jersey has a lot of shops vend there too. So like quite a few of my local shops vend there. So you kind of get like a variety, and then like the farms themselves vend there, and independent dyers vend there. Like I'm forgetting the name of the Philly-based dyer, but she vends there. There's actually a few Philly-based dyers that vend there. I'm forgetting the name, I'm so sorry. But like, it's a combination of farms, small shops, and then indie dyers and creators. So definitely, and there's like places like Chelsea Yarns was there too. I know they're very popular. It was like the most crowded booth next to like 2 other booths. Like that one was packed. I went in to look and it was too much for my little budget, so I did not purchase, did not stick around. I think there was like I think Primrose was there. Primrose Yarns was there, and they're pretty popular, and they also vend at Rhinebeck and Maryland. Jillian Draper. I feel like they might have vended at New Jersey. Maybe not. Maybe I'm confusing shows. Maybe not. There's a couple other vendors that I've seen at Maryland and Rhinebeck that vended too. Into the World, I think, vended at New Jersey. It's hard to keep track right now, but there was options and like people I recognize also from Instagram. So it's a good combination of like smaller independent people, and then people that you could probably recognize from social media. The New Jersey Fiber Shed was there, so that was really fun. I joined them. They are a collective of New Jersey supporters and farms who are focused on this project around fiber. Really great, really love it. I'll probably talk more about it later. I am a member now. I even got the cute little car magnet. And it's really cheap to be a community member. It's $15 for a year just to support them and the mission that they have. And they let you know in advance when there's events. So there's one in October, the weekend after Rhinebeck, in central New Jersey, southern central New Jersey. New Jersey's weird. They don't really talk about having a central Jersey, but there is a central Jersey. But whatever. So I will be going to that, but it's really cute. And I've been to one of their other shows hosted by them, and it was great. Trying to think what else. I think overall it was a really good show. A big sticking point for me was that over half of the places had fiber. Even if it was just like a small section of hand-dyed top, there was fiber to purchase and spin. I cannot say the same thing for Rhinebeck. Rhinebeck had so little to do with the actual spinning portion of the craft that I was really sad and disappointed. The same cannot be said for New Jersey. If you want something that's focused on weaving, spinning, and fiber, go. Like, go. It was really refreshing. Granted, a good chunk of it was merino, and I don't like knitting or spinning with merino because of like the fact that it's just too soft and pills too fast. It was great. Definitely recommend it. And there was also a lot of the local guilds were demonstrating, which the other two shows, Maryland and Rhinebeck, also have that. But the size of this event makes it so that you can't miss it. And that's really nice. And everyone was super friendly. You can't buy wheels and tablets there, but you can see people working on it and join the guilds to do that. I ended up purchasing from a shop, like a yarn shop, that had several different brands of yarn there. I purchased CeCe's wool. This is the brand. They are based in New York. They are popular. They are at Rhinebeck, Maryland. Whether they are there themselves or it's shops, I can't remember. But they vend at those events or have people who have their yarn. So yes, I purchased a jumbo skein of CeCe's wool. It is 100% superwash merino. I didn't really see a lot of hand-dyed yarn that wasn't merino. I just didn't. I don't think that is. It's harder to find something that isn't merino that's hand-dyed. So in my budget and what I wanted, I got 100% superwash merino, 8 ounces, 120 yards of fingering weight, and it is called Cherry's Jubilee. It was about $48, so relatively, for my size and my knitting, I feel like that's it's expensive. It's 2 skeins. It's 2 skeins for $48, but I think we're seeing an increase in yarn, frankly, and so those prices are going to get higher for hand-dyed stuff. That's just the reality of it. I would have probably saved money if I went through Knit Picks or something like that, but hand-dyed yarn is expensive. It costs what it costs because of the labor. I definitely am not upset about that price point, but that's just the reality. So if you are willing to spend that much, then I definitely think the $48 was worth it for the amount of yardage I got. Even though it is not necessarily the base that I adore, and this is purely because merino pills way too fast. Superwash is good for wearing and being able to just throw it in a dryer if you want to. Do not recommend it, but if it gets thrown in a dryer, it's not the end of the world. Like 100% non-superwash would be. 100% non-superwash would felt it and shrink it to the point where you couldn't use it. I have 100% superwash socks that I just throw into the dryer and it is fine. The fiber police will come get me. It's okay. Superwash is more forgiving. It's chemically treated. It's a little different than its non-superwash counterpart. But superwash still felts pretty badly. And I wear my sweaters aggressively once it gets below 70. I wear them all the time. So pilling is something that really sticks out to me and really bothers me. So I don't, in the last year or two, have been trying really hard to not just purchase merino, like trying to find other yarns from other sheep breeds, but a lot of indie dyers still aren't really like moving that route because merino is easier to get. One of my favorite folks does 90% Targhee, 10% nylon. Love that. It is a great combo. Another place, Plies and Hellhounds, actually has different bases with different fiber contents. They have BFL, Targhee, and something else. They do have Merino, but I think there's one other. Polworth. So like there's different options there. But enough with that. This is the yarn. I'm losing light, so I'm sorry if this doesn't come out too great, but it is a very fall moody color. It's very hard to see this. Yeah, that's a little bit better. So it's got purples, whites, black, and there is an orange in here. Oh, here it is. Here it is. It is more burnt orange in person, but it's coming off as brown in the camera, and I know it's just because of my lighting. I'm losing daylight. That's fine. But it's very moody. There was a knitted sample, and it was beautiful. It was so much fun. I debated between this and like a white with green speckles, but I did not. I went with the variegated yarn. I am not mad. It's very pretty. I believe it is a 2-ply. It looks like a 2-ply. It is a 2-ply. It is a 2-ply yarn. I am happy with it. I did have a dark purple knitted tee in the past and only wore it like twice before I ripped it out. Partly a good chunk of that was due to the sweater pattern itself and the way it fit. So I'm hoping, I did gravitate towards this color. I don't have purples in my closet, but I'm hoping that with the right pattern, I won't feel that way and rip it out. And this will be something that I'll be able to wear. So we'll see. I am hoping to make the Salty Air Tee by Samantha Guerin. She has some really great patterns. I've knit one of her patterns before. She's a great pattern writer. She's got plenty of test knitters and projects on Ravelry of people working on her stuff. And the Salty Air Tee was one of the ones that I've been really wanting to knit. So I bought enough yarn to make my tee in my size. So yeah, it has a purpose, it has a plan. I loved the way that it knit up. It was nice to have that on display, that sample. The shop owner did a really good job of having sample spinners and sample knitters and samples in general. So I would not have probably purchased this without that sample knit swatch. So I'm looking forward to it. It will not be right away. I think I'm going to do some smaller projects first, maybe. We'll see. I'm just trying to get through one project at a time. Maybe the knitting bug will bite me and I will jump to this. But yeah, this is what I got. Very happy. The cost and the type of yarn I think is worth it for me. And I was in budget. So even though I probably, if I had a larger budget, I would have bought Wobble Gobble yarn, and probably more of it for a different type of project. But this is great for the project I have in store. It's really soft, and it's a very fun fall moody color. So yeah, that's what I purchased. That's how I felt about New Jersey Sheep and Wool. I 100% recommend it, especially if you're within a 3-hour driving distance. Totally worth it. I enjoyed it. If you are a person who is from New Jersey and is proud of it, it's also a really great place to just like see locally what's going on in your state. Because a lot of those vendors were local. They were either in the Philly area because they were hand dyers, or they were farms in New Jersey. Like, they are very few people there that weren't from the state or the surrounding area. There were some New Yorker people, which makes sense because northern Jersey is sharing borders with New York, and Pennsylvania is the other border sharer. I didn't really see anyone from Delaware. but the majority was New Jersey. So definitely recommend it. It was great. I had a lot of fun. I will be going back every year that they have it. It's cheap, $5 a person, 10 a car. Like I said, they don't check bags, so if you have to bring snacks or have dietary restrictions, it's even easier than Rhinebeck or Maryland, and you get a taste of what a fiber show is without being underwhelmed or disappointed. It is just enough of a teaser and a tester for you to really get a small scale experience of that, and it's really nice. So definitely recommend it. I enjoyed it. I look forward to next year. This year was great. I am interested to see if there's any change in sheep breed demonstrations and if there's any more vendors. I hope so. I really enjoyed it. So other than that, I would 100% recommend New Jersey Sheep and Wool. I will not be going to any other events this year outside of the New Jersey Fiber Shed event, but that's not really like a show. So this is the last show I will be going to this year. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I was able to go and went. It was a little hard for me with my heart condition and stuff. Like, it still was a little rough, and masks were still optional with some people, and I've noticed that even like day to day here in New Jersey, it's grown really lax. But I still felt safe, and I still like did the precautions I could take and needed to take. I know for a fact I would not feel comfortable doing that at Rhinebeck. I will not be going to Rhinebeck, and probably not for the foreseeable future until that pandemic is actually gone and people are actually being mindful of protocols. So I did feel a little run down after the event. I overdid it, but that has more to do with like my chronic illnesses and my autoimmune stuff and heart stuff, and less to do with like the actual event. I had a great time. Like I said, I'm happy I went. I am happy with my decision not to go to any other shows, because like I was tired. I was very tired after the few hours I was there and the drive back. So yeah, that's all I have going on right now. Hopefully I will have more of my knitted stuff done, more of my knitting progressed in the cowl, and I might have some spinning done, but at least started the next time we talk. I hope in the meantime that you get to enjoy the beginning of fall, and that you get to have plenty of apple or pumpkin things as the season changes. I will talk to you guys next time, hopefully more on time than last time. Bye guys.